Chris here, and welcome to my channel. As you can see by my setup, it's time to play Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. So we are finally here to the last Phase 10 Chooses My TBR for 2024. I cannot believe we're already this close to December and the end of 2024. It's mind-blowing that we've gotten here that quickly. I tried to keep December a little bit chiller. I don't know that it worked. In the month of December, I am doing 2 readathons, and that is the Reindeer Readathon and the Lit Readathon. I will have TBRs for both up on my channel. Reindeer Readathon is a month-long readathon. I've participated in it for a few years now, and I've really enjoyed it. And the Lit Readathon is a week-long readathon that I believe runs the 15th through the 21st. So I'm very, very excited to participate in both of those. The information for both of them will be linked in the description below. As for other stuff, I have my own queer book club, and in December we had a tie. So we will be reading Honeymead Murder, which is a cozy mystery by Dahlia Donovan. And I've read some other books by Dahlia Donovan, really enjoyed them, so I have high hopes for this one. And then the other is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alice Cochran, and this is a romance that follows a woman who meets a girl one Christmas, believes there's an entire connection there, but doesn't see her again. Sorry about that. If the angle changes, it's because Cielo decided to dump my phone on the floor. So what was I saying? So this follows a woman who has had a rough year, gets an offer from her boss to fake date and go home with him for Christmas so he can get his inheritance and she can get some money. When she gets there, she realizes that the girl she met last Christmas just happens to be his sister. So I get the feeling drama is going to ensue. I'm very curious about this one. I've heard some mixed things, so we'll see how this one goes. And at some point during the month of December, I will be reading both books on my channel on sprints, so keep an eye out for that. This brings me to my Buzz Wordathon pick for the month, and the theme this month is holiday. So I'm going to read Once Upon an Eid, Stories of Hope and Joy by 15 Muslim Voices. I am very, very curious about this. I thought it would be a little different than just going with the obvious, Christmas. So I'm very, very excited to get to this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these stories are about and learning a little bit more about Eid. Which brings me to my nonfiction pick of the month, and for this I'm going to read Moby Dyke, an obsessive quest to track down the last remaining lesbian bars in America. And we're basically going to be following the author as she tries to figure out where they went, because it says lesbian bars have always been treasured safe spaces for customers, providing not only a good time, but a shelter from societal alienation and outright persecution. In 1987, there were 206 of them in America. Today, only a couple dozen remain. How and why did this happen? What has been lost or possibly gained by such a decline? What transpires when marginalized communities become more accepted and mainstream? So I'm very, very interested in this. I'm looking forward to finding out the answer to that question of what happened to them, and is that a good or a bad thing? Or is it a kind of a mix of both? And yeah, this looks like it's going to be quite the interesting nonfiction for December to wrap up the year. So that brings me to this. This terrifies me because as much as I want to have a light December, it is not looking that way. And odds are this is not going to be kind to me, an ad series I'm already planning on continuing in the month of December. So let's see what this has in store for me. I'm nervous, not going to lie. And we have a yellow one and papers going flying. At some point in December, I plan to refresh this jar and re-roll the papers, take ones out that don't need to be in there, that I've DNF'd or finished or caught up on, etc. So let's see. My first series, I can do this one, is Spy Family. Totally happy with this. So I can totally do this. The next volume I'm on is Spy Family Volume 8. This follows Twilight, who is a spy and has to go undercover. And the person he needs to get close to really only shows up at his son's school events, so he has to get himself a family. He ends up adopting a little girl and does not realize that she can read minds, and finds someone to enter a fake marriage with him, not realizing she's an assassin. And of course, the little girl knows he's a spy, knows her new mom is an assassin. So it sets things up for a lot of hilarious moments. I've really, really enjoyed the series and have absolutely no problem diving back into it. This is something that won't tax me that much because they're really, really quick reads. Series number 2 is Taylor and Rose Secret Agents. I have to see if I have access to the next one. So the next book in this series is Villains in Venice, and I do actually have access. I wasn't sure because I thought I was reading them on Everand, and I've canceled my subscription to Everand. So I wasn't sure, but I can get it through Hoopla. So this is a spin-off series of, let me see. What is it called? I have the books right here. The Sinclair Mysteries. This is actually, I think, book 3. So that is a spin-off series of this, and it follows 2 young girls who solve mysteries in their, like, historical mysteries. I really enjoyed both the Sinclair's mystery series and so far the Taylor and Rose series. So absolutely happy with this. This should be another easy read. So of all the things that could have come out of my jar, that's one of the less bad options. And our third and final series is the Mysterious Benedict Society. This jar is bound and determined to make me finish that series. So the third book in this series is the Mysterious Benedict Society and the Prisoner's Dilemma. This follows a group of kids who in the first book come together after some intriguing tests to infiltrate this school so that they can help save the world. And I've thought these books are decent. They're not like a favorite series of mine, but it's definitely one I had hoped to continue at some point through my TBR jar. And I believe this is the second time it's come out. So I read the first book and then it came out again. I want to say I read the first book like in maybe August. And now it's come out of my TBR jar twice. So my TBR jar is bound and determined to make me finish this series. So again, there are definitely worse series that could have come out of there. I mean, like, you know, Robert Jordan. So I'm happy with this. I've got no complaints. All 3 of these are not the last book in the series. So all 3 of these pieces of paper can go back in, although they don't have to go back in, real tight or anything. Cause like I said, I'm going to go through my jar because they're series that I've DNF'd. They're series that I've finished. They're series that I'm planning on finishing in December. So there's a lot of stuff that can come out of this jar to be refreshed for next year. So we're going to put the, oh, wait. Let me grab the papers from the floor. So we can put the lid back on this and I can put this up for the year. So with that now all set for the rest of 2024, it is time to dive into this. So it is actually the 27th. I'm cutting this a little close to filming. I want to remind everybody that last month I did pull a no punishments next month reward. But I don't know if I'm using it yet. Because I like being able to roll them over, and I did want to give myself an incentive to actually try to finish my TBR. So here's where we sit with like 3.5 days left in the month. I have picked up The Man by Becky Lynch, and I'm currently on page 130, so decent progress in this. I have picked up The Silver Gate and made it to page 177, so again, decent progress. And I have 2 books that I haven't touched yet, and that's Like a Charm, and The Grandest Game. So what I'm going to do, since I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish those realistically, it's all going to depend on how much focus I have and whether the chaos that has been November continues for the rest of the month, because let me tell you, it's been a very, very chaotic November for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put a punishment on the board, but I'm also not going to put a reward. You are going to have to watch January's TBR to find out whether I had to turn this in and get no punishments, or whether I get to put at least one reward on the board for January. I think that's the fairest way to do it, because I honestly have no idea whether I'm going to be able to finish my TBR, and I don't want to waste this if I can hang on to it, because I have no idea what this is going to bring to me in any given month. So that being said, that means we can dive in. As you can see, we have a fresh board because I did finish my phase last time. This phase is a set of 5 and a set of 2. So let's see what we got. We have a 3, a 6, a 5, a 3, and a 6. Okay, so for our first 5 cards, we're not doing bad because I already have my set of 2. We're going to add a wild, which could be any card I wanted. Another 3. Intriguing. A 9. I got excited there for a minute. A 1. And a 7. So let me get these up on the board and I'll be right back with you. So there you have it. My board is set up. I've made that wild a 3. I cannot change that. So it is now officially a 3, which means I either need 1 3 to complete my phase or 3 6s. I would also like to mention, I still don't know where the piece of paper is, but I do have my combine 2 prompts reward that I earned in a previous round, and I have a remove one book from my TBR. So if at the end I decide that this TBR is a little too hefty and I want to make it slightly easier, I can turn in this reward. So now it's time to get into the draws with draw number 1, which is a blue one. I don't really care what prompts I get as long as it's not a wild. The first prompt gives me Image on the Spine. So for Image on the Spine, I'm going to read The One and Only Family by Katherine Applegate. As you can see, there is the same image on the spine that's on the front cover, which counts as an image on the spine. This is the 4th and final book in the One and Only series. I read The One and Only Ruby last month and decided that I was going to finish up the series in December. I really, really enjoyed this series. I really, really love Katherine Applegate, so I am absolutely thrilled to be able to put this on my TBR for the month of December. We'll replace that with this and go to draw number 2, which is a green 11. The prompt for green 11 is Random Genre Wheel. I feel like we just had this. So I have put a bunch of genres on this wheel. I'll run you through them real quick. So we have classic, fantasy, sci-fi, contemporary, fiction, thriller, nonfiction, historical fiction, romance, and mystery. And I'm just going to shuffle these a few times so they're mixed up. And then we'll spin. And we have classic, which I'm almost positive is what happened last time. So I know exactly what I'm going to read for this. So for this, I'm going to read To Kill a Mockingbird. I had already planned to read this month. I had seen it on a banned books list and went, you know, I want to know why. So I requested it. I don't know anything about this other than it is a classic and it has been a banned book and I am curious. So this is absolutely perfect. Honestly, that is what I was hoping it would land on. So I'm not going to complain. I'm quite looking forward to seeing what this is all about and why it's got everybody in such an uproar that it needs to be banned. Or, well, not needs to be banned, but has been banned because I think banned books are silly. We'll replace that prompt with this and hop in to draw number 3, which is a blue 11. The prompt for blue 11 is sci-fi. This was another easy choice. I'm going to read The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers. This is the 4th and I believe final book in the Wayfarer series. The first book, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, was one of my queer book club picks, and me and Omi have continued to read the series, so we wanted to read book 4 in December. These are like cozy sci-fi. I've absolutely loved them, and I'm very, very excited to see what happens in this one. So another really, really nice pick by my Phase 10 board, which makes me worried there may be some wilds coming. We'll replace that with this and go into draw number 4, which is a yellow. Am I just going to get all the 11s today? So the prompt for yellow 11 is historical fiction not set during World War II. So for this, I'm going to read A Ruse of Shadows by Sherry Thomas. This is the 8th book in the Lady Sherlock mystery series. It is set in the late 1800s and is a Sherlock Holmes retelling that follows Charlotte Holmes. I absolutely adore this series. I'm so excited to get to the new one. I just got it from my library. So, yeah, really, 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 really happy to be able to stick this on my TBR. Another nice pick. Getting nervous now. Replace that with this and go into draw number 5, which is a blue 4. The prompt for blue 4 is newest purchase. So my most recent purchase is The Witch is Back. This came out yesterday and I had pre-ordered it. It's the 6th book, I believe, in the Which Way Librarian series. I recently had to read book 5 because it came out of my TBR jar and I had to, I think, listen and have the ebook, which I didn't like. So I decided I was going to start pre-ordering the series. It follows Josie, who in the first book is hiding out in this small town being a librarian because she's been a witness to a crime and is waiting for the trial and is kind of trying to stay low, and ends up learning she has magic that involves books. and there's obviously a body. I don't remember who the body was in the first one off the top of my head anymore, but ends up coming across a body and wonders if it's somehow connected to the people she will be testifying against. I've really, really enjoyed this series, and I want to continue to stay up to date on it. So, really, really happy with this. Can I just say, of the 5 books I've picked, one is a standalone, and the other ones either get me up to date or finish series. Again, suspiciously nice. Draw number 6 is a green 5. The prompt for green 5 is own voices. Well, for this, I think I'll read Once Upon an Eid, since this is probably an own voices book, because I'm going to assume it's people who celebrate Eid, therefore it would be in their own voices. I am very, very baffled at how nice this is being to me, since I have to read this anyways, because it's my Buzz Wordathon pick, and I've now managed to put it on my Phase 10 TBR. Do you think my board thinks Santa is watching and doesn't want to be put on the naughty list? We'll replace that with this, and go for draw number 7, which is a yellow 12. I have 2 rewards on the board, one of which I can't pull because if I get a 3, it's going over there. My reward is stop TBR. Aaron, thank you again. So, yes, I do think my board thinks Santa is watching because that's it. When I get that one, I stop right there. There are no more prompts. There are no more polls. That is the end of my TBR for 2024, my last one of the year. I just, wow. I'm speechless. Not as speechless as I was when I pulled that after one book, because that's the second time I've gotten that prompt, but speechless nonetheless. So, this is my final TBR for Phase 10. Baffled, I tell you, baffled. So I've got Once Upon an Eid for Own Voices, The Witch is Back for newest purchase, A Ruse of Shadows for historical fiction not set during World War II, The Galaxy and The Ground Within for sci-fi, To Kill a Mockingbird for genre real, which gave me classic, and The One and Only Family for Image on the Spine. Normally I don't do that because I, 1, can't hold up the stack, and 2, don't remember what books go for what prompts at that point. Because normally I have like a good 15 books. So yes, I think my board has decided that Santa is watching and it does not want to be put on the naughty list, so it gave me a very, very nice TBR. I'm just blown away. I love playing this game. It makes things interesting and fun, but I cannot tell you how relieved I am that it was nice to me, because 2024 has not been the best year for me. It has been a very up and down year. My emotions have been all over the place. I've faced some losses that I did not expect, and it's been hard. There's been a lot of chaos, especially in the last month, and it makes me so happy that I can kind of focus on the books that I really, really want to read and not have to go, okay, I wasn't planning on reading in this in December. How do I fulfill this prompt? And which book will fit best with the overwhelming stack of books I had already planned to read? So I'm not going to complain. These were all books that were already on my TBR except for The Witch is Back, and I don't mind that one being added. So there you have it. That is my last TBR for 2024. What is a book that you're hoping to get to before the end of the year? What is like that one book that you're like, I need to read this before the end of 2024. I said I was going to read it in 2024, so I need to read it. Let me know in the comments section below. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me a Santa emoji in honor of him watching out and keeping an eye on my board. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!